This is RV Dream New Radio. Very happy to be at Pismo Coast Village and very happy to be sitting with Jay Jamison, who is the CEO and General Manager of Pismo Coast Village.
That's correct.
Thank you very kindly for letting us be here.
You're welcome.
We're loving it, and the weather is nice now, so we're doubly loving it.
Gorgeous day today.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. A little bit of rain, a little bit of coolness, and nice sunshine.
And you have a smile on your face because you have a packed house.
We do.
It's sold out totally, right, for this weekend?
$399 out of 400 for the last 3
$399.
Yeah,
Where's that 400?
Yeah. So.
Well, tell me about Pismo Coast Village. We were talking the other day about how this started in the first place, and then it went bankrupt in the model that you have with it.
That's correct. Pismo Coast Village was developed back in the early 70s, and soon after it was developed, it was a very popular facility. But what ended up happening is that the developers ended up going into bankruptcy, and a number of guests that enjoyed using the resort formed a corporation, which is now and has been Pismo Coast Village Incorporated. It was incorporated back in April of 1975. Originally, 1,800 shares were sold, and that's still how many shares are outstanding. And shares were sold out within the first couple of years, and now, ever since then, they've just been transferred, either sold individually or through our broker. And shares are able to be, given, vested to children, or sold, or however they're handled as a regular share, like you would have in a regular corporation, like Disney or Starbucks or whatever. It's a share. They own the share. They don't pay any membership fees or maintenance fees or annual dues. Once they buy the share, that's it as far as any obligation to the company. And they receive 45 free nights per year to use the resort. Right,
and that's forever, as long as they're a shareholder.
That's correct, that's forever, right.
With all the amenities and everything else with it.
And you see an awful lot of families using the shares. They're able to the share owner is able to put on a form who is able to make a reservation and utilize the share. And so, a lot of shares are maxed out to 45 nights during the year.
You have a really unique situation in the fact that it's funny. I related this to you the other day about interviewing a guy who had his fifth wheel, and I'm saying, well, how much have you traveled? He said, I've never pulled it, because they buy the RV and you have a big storage facility.
That's correct.
And trucks who pull it over here, set it all up, do the whole thing. So you can be an RVer without ever leaving the property.
That's right. We have about 1,600 RVs in storage right now. We have 5 full-time staff that basically all they do is move units back and forth from storage to Pismo Coast Village or other parks in the area. And you're right.
So you could store it here and go to another park if
sure.
It was sold out or something
Correct.
Like that.
Right. And we actually have recently added storage for self-access. So it's people that might not be interested in coming to Pismo Coast Village, and they also want to be able to have access to their own RV throughout the year. And so that's becoming more and more popular for us too. So it's a primary program for Pismo Coast Village, a storage program. And what it really does, it helps us kind of flatten out the seasonal aspect of people who might be RVing. It helps with when fuel prices go high, people are still able to come over here because they can drive their economical vehicles and come in and stay at the resort. A lot of folks that might have been RVers that have traveled the country who want to keep the lifestyle, but for health reasons or whatever, they don't want to tow anymore. Putting a vehicle in storage and coming over here and just calling when they make a reservation, it's put on site for them. They're able to have their family use the RV, so nobody needs to own a tow vehicle. And it's convenient, it's economical, and
it's
helps.
A great vacation home without all the stuff you have to go through with a vacation.
That's true. And there are weekends and days during the summer season where our trailer movers are relocating 75, 80 units in a day.
Wow, that many, huh?
So it's a significant part of our business.
Being here at this, extended period, I've talked to an awful lot of people, and people don't just come here, they love it. I mean, people are passionate about, I'm back at Pismo Coast Village. And location is one thing, you're right on the ocean, so that's wonderful, and you're in a great community and so on. But there are a lot of RV parks that are in great communities on the ocean and so on across the country. But something about this, explain to me why people are so passionate about being here.
Well, I think in a lot of ways. I mean, you mentioned probably the biggest ones are location. I think that's probably a factor that
sure
starts the whole process for us. But I think that there's a lot of expectations met and continuity with what we provide as far as our services. The company traditionally has really tried to exceed the expectation of our guests in a lot of ways, and everybody, we're dependent upon our guests to come back. That's what makes us survive, and I think that our staff enjoys the interaction with our guests. I mean, there's, you've probably seen it, and I know you know a lot of our staff personally now after being here for so long, and you develop that personal relationship with folks, and it's like an extended part of the family. And so I think people just they love to come back here. They can relax, and I think probably most people have a certain place they go to where they kind of feel that they can unwind and kind of get their head straight and so forth. And for a lot of folks, Pismo Coast Village is that location.
One of the things that I've discovered here we got a few rainstorms come in and a couple of leaks in the trailer and things like that. But you're really not alone. You really have a staff of people that are out here to help the RVer.
Correct. Right.
And they were there. I mean, they were like, you got a problem, we're going to come and help you.
Sure. And that's talked about a lot. Our staff meetings, we talk about being there for our guests. I mean, if there's somebody that's disabled or elderly and they need help putting up their awning or putting out their awning, setting up or whatever, our staff is there willing and able to help them do that. We want to make it easy for people. We want to make them, come here and lose the stress and enjoy the place. And that's really what we're all about.
And RVing's got something brand new every day that you go, why isn't that working? Or why did that happen?
Right.
So you really have knowledgeable people here too.
Well, we do. Our maintenance staff that's out and around the resort on an ongoing basis, our security staff that's out and around, I mean, they're watching for things that they might have to participate in resolving. It could be anywhere from something happening at a campsite, a water leak, or even a conflict in a campsite. I mean, they're going to be there to help resolve all those things. If it's more technical, we have an RV shop that can be called over to help deal with an RV issue itself. And so everybody kind of knows what their limitations are and their capabilities to be able to participate.
I was so proud of myself this time because I actually helped a guy learn how to dump. I felt like an authority, And so there's the propane, there's the water, there's the leaks, there's just 1,000 things, but it seemed to me that the staff knew what to do.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and most of the things are little.
Right.
They're just,
right.
I didn't know how to light the hot water heater or
well,
whatever.
There's so much about an RV that, when somebody buys one or rents an RV, they don't always get the full picture on how to operate it as they head down the road. And so there are times here at the resort where somebody comes in and needs help, and our staff's aware of that and is available to help with orientating towards how to light the water heater or whatever. And some of the basic things, they get on the road and just don't understand, and they can be complicated.
How many people do you have total working here?
Right now we have right around 54.
54.
And we're in the off season, so we'll go up to as high as 68, 70 during the summer season.
And a lot of these people, a lot of your staff have been here a while.
That's true.
What's the oldest?
I think we're talking in the mid 20 years. We have a number of staff that just in the last few months have hit their 20-year anniversary.
That's great.
And
so the turnover isn't that great?
It's not real high for our long-term full-time staff. You'll see, when you hire the seasonals and our part-time summer staff, you're going to find folks that, they might be students and so forth. So you're going to have some turnover in that respect. But we have our core staff is between 5 and 15 years. I mean, I think it's very impressive.
For the other RV park owners that are watching this and learning from you at this point, people come to work sometimes in a bad mood, and sometimes they're tired, or sometimes they don't feel good or physically or whatever it may be. Yet when that RVer comes in here from Indianapolis and he's driven all the way to get here, he really doesn't want to see a grumpy person behind the counter.
Right.
So how do you motivate those people without cracking a whip? I mean, there's got to be an attitude that says that it's natural.
Well, that's probably one of the hardest things in dealing with the public, and whether you're in a restaurant or a motel or retail or working here.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can fake it.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
And one of the things that obviously anything you read about employees, you got to hire right and so forth. And I think most of the time we do a good job in that, in the training, and you get the right personality. And there's in this business, sometimes hiring for personality and not for skill is maybe the way to look at it, because most of whatever we do, we can teach. But one of the things we talk about in our staff meetings and our orientation that we do before every season, if you see somebody on your staff that is having a hard time, or a fellow employee that might be having a hard time, jump in there and support them, give them a break, let them get away, because the resort gets pretty intense, and our reservation staff especially, they're dealing with people that might be coming in. We're crowded. They might not like their campsite, and so they might get somebody in their face that could be possibly abusive. And so you've got to talk to, if you see that person needs a lifeline, get them to back out, and maybe somebody might step in to help diffuse that. And that's probably one of the areas that we talk about frequently, is just making sure that the people have the tools to cope with those kind of things, and not take it personally, because people are on the road. They want to be here and have a good time, and if they don't get the campsite they want, or their next door neighbors staying up late and partying or whatever, I mean, security tries to keep those things to a minimum, but they do happen, and anybody running an operation like this knows no matter what you do, sometimes things happen, and it's how you respond is what makes it shows your success.
Do you consider that a particular talent of yours, the ability to deal with people, motivate people, staff, recognize people?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. You work on it from a...
I think so. I mean, I've always been in the people business and enjoy that part of my career. I have my days just like everybody else. You come to work tired or whatever,
right.
But it's, again, you kind of surround yourself with people that can pick up the ball and run with it, and but I think that anybody who's, I think, in a leadership position in this industry, hopefully you've got a lot of patience and good people skills.
I wouldn't be very good at it.
That's not what I see.
I think some people can do it and some people can't.